Hi Naija Trout, welcome back. I have another video for you guys today, and it's by request. You all asked me to make a video on how to do a flax egg. It was featured in my meatloaf and dressing recipes, and I'll have those linked in the card above. So it's very simple to make a flax egg, but before we learn how to make a flax egg, let's understand what is the chicken egg that we're trying to replace and understand how and when we should actually use a flax egg. Okay, so first, when we say a chicken egg or an avian egg, we're talking about a small egg and what does an egg do so that we know why we're replacing it. An egg is primarily responsible for doing three things. It has structure, it adds structure to whatever you're cooking or baking because of the proteins in it. Number two, it's a leavening or foaming agent because it traps air bubbles and that's what helps make things rise. And number three, it's an emulsifier, meaning it can combine oil and water and it helps the fats disperse more evenly in whatever you're, particularly what you're baking. So those are the three things that eggs are typically used for, specifically in baking and also in cooking. So when you're doing vegan egg substitutions, you need to understand what is that you're trying to achieve so that you know what type of egg replacer to use. Now the flax egg is a great egg substitute, but it's not for everything. So obviously you're not gonna make scrambled eggs with the flax egg. I wouldn't do any meringues. You can't do meringues and things with a flax egg. It doesn't have the emulsification, doesn't have the lift, the airiness that we're looking for. And there are great vegan substitutes for that, like aquafaba. And if you're interested in seeing how that works to make vegan meringues, just leave a comment below, scroll all the way down to the bottom to the comment section, leave a comment below. But for what we're going to do today, the flax egg is good for obviously the meatloaf and the dressing, so something that's dense. But on the baking side, it's good for like quick breads, cookies, pancakes, muffins. So anything like that that has a kind of a denseness to it, but also has moisture that's needed, then that's where you're going to use a flax egg. So we've talked about what avian eggs do in traditional baking and cooking. We've talked about the best uses for a flax egg. So now let's talk about what the flax egg actually does. Its primary purpose is to help have a structure. It has a little bit of a foaming agent to it. It has a little bit of emulsification to it, but it's not its primary strength. The main thing is that it will bind and have a structure because it does have protein. It has a high protein count and it has a high omega-3 fatty acid content. So that helps with the structure of everything and it's also very healthy for you. So those are the primary uses for a flax egg and why it's beneficial. So then what are the cons of using a flax egg? Like I kind of hinted on, you can't use it for everything. So everywhere you would use an egg, you can't just put a flax egg in its place. So if you want something to be light and creamy or airy, flax egg is not going to be your friend. Also, if you want something to be light in color or be colorless so that whatever the color you're trying to make comes through, like in a meringue or like in an ice cream or something like that, flax egg, you're gonna see all the specs of the flax egg. Also, you wanna make sure you're using whole flax seeds that you ground yourself unless you know the freshness of your pre-ground flax eggs. And that's because the oils in it, they can go rancid really quickly. And that's for any nut or seed that you have. You really wanna store them in your freezer and use them as needed so that the oils do not become rancid because that's not good for anybody. So that's the best way to do it. But if all you have is pre-ground flaxseed, you can go ahead and start with that, but just check for its freshness. So if you need to double or triple this recipe because you need 2 or 3 eggs for whatever recipe you're doing, you can totally do that. Now, if your recipe calls for like 10 eggs, I've never done something with that many eggs before and try to replace it with flax egg. I don't think that would be the best solution because there are other things you have to factor in other than just binding things together. It's going to affect the structure and the water content and all these things. I am a former professional baker. I did go to culinary school. So if you want to know more about that aspect of the more of the chemistry of baking, just let me know, leave a comment below. I'll be happy to do several videos about that. So I'll just end. So I'm going to show you this video for how to do the flax egg. And again, we're using the flax egg and whatever recipes for moisture and for denseness. That's the reason why we're using the flax egg. So if your recipe doesn't need to be dense or it doesn't really need to be super moist, flax egg may not be the best bet. So I've named the things that you can use a flax egg for, so just keep that in mind and say, is it going to make it dense or I want something dense? If it's not going to be dense, then you probably want to use a different thing like an aquafaba. So very common vegan egg substitutes other than the flax egg. You can do a chia egg. So you follow the same recipe, same structure that I'm going to give you today for the flax egg, but you just use chia seeds, ground chia seeds instead of ground flax seeds, and you'll have the same consistency, same ratio, and it does the same thing. It adds moisture and denseness wherever you're trying to prepare, cook, or bake. You have pureed fruit, so you can take like pureed mangoes and pureed bananas or avocados. Those are very typical, and mash them up together, and then that is an egg substitute, and it helps with moisture and making things stick together for binding and helping that structure. You have aquafaba, like I mentioned earlier. So aquafaba is simply, if you haven't heard of it, it's simply just the juice that's in the can of chickpeas, bean juice essentially. And it's wonderful. You can take that juice and it whips up to stiff peaks, and you can make your own whipped cream from that. You can make your own meringues. It's amazing. So if you guys would like to see a video about that and how to make meringues or how to use aquafaba, just let me know. Put that in the comment section below. Okay guys, so now that we've had our education about what typical chicken eggs do and how we'll actually use a flax egg, let's go ahead and show you guys how to make a flax egg.